Hey guys, Nancy here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me while I ask the question. Is this the top of the reserved list market? Now, I'm not going to focus too much on the reserved list as a whole. I'm going to focus on the dual lands because that's mostly what I have, and the revised edition because that's the one that moves fast enough and has enough large amounts of, I guess not daily, but weekly transactions between people where we can actually judge if the market has topped and if there is going to possibly be another leg up. And if there is going to be another leg up, exactly how much more is that going to add to the market as a whole? So let's start off with the revised edition overall market value of the box, or at least the individual cards in the box. Each one of the cards, it comes to around about $7,119. That actually sounds about right when you think about it, especially when the box is going to be a bit more because you know what you're going to get. Fresh packed, everything, etc. You can see that the peak actually happened in two different places. One of them was February '04. That sounds about right. We were there at that time-ish. And it had a double top around about '03-27. You could almost consider this a dead cat bounce, but I don't know how many people were buying after the initial spike. It was very unlikely people kept aggressively buying after, but obviously there was enough people to try to get back to the previous high. So the high was $8,776.10. And then you have the other one at the other end, which is $8,686.60. So yes, the peak here is higher than the peak, 7,414. Anyway, the peak higher is higher than the peak on the other side. Zoom in a bit. It does have a bit of a peak and then drop off again. And now it's flatlining around about $7,118. And not really moving down, but not really moving up either. Now, usually, we have a couple of things that can move the collectible market, the crypto market, speculation of any assets of any kind, which is in two ways. One of them is another asset makes a lot of money and then people divest, or a large number of people are about to be getting their hands on more US dollars. What happened in these two? One of them was speculation. In April 2020, everyone knew that we were going to have 0.0% interest rate for a lot of the world, at least the larger economies, which then collect these kinds of cards and collectibles in the first place. And because of that, they knew there was going to be more money supply, the value of the dollar. I think I got around about this point. And then you had a stimulus check announced, and then you had another stimulus check announced. And we also knew that the Democratic Party was going to be elected in Federal Reserve in the US, which is usually a more easy to try to help the general public, I guess, but in the way of helping in getting, more handouts and so on. So maybe people pumped up the prices even more than the first stimulus check just because they understood. We have had 3 stimulus checks in the US. Sorry, I'm not in the US, I'm in Australia, but there have been 3 checks in the US, and I think there's talks about the 4th one, but nothing has really gone forward yet. And there's now a lot of contention about if anything is going to happen, especially with the Federal Reserve slowing down or possibly ending tapering starting from December 2021 and slowly ending it to the middle of next year. So there's the $120 billion slowly getting out of the system. And that's happening throughout the entire developed world as well. I think every country, even the Australian government was putting $4 billion into the markets every month. So that was just to try to stabilize everything. But since there's inflation caused by it, they're trying to back up now because the inflation may or may not be beyond what they need. And they have 2 mandates, the Federal Reserve. One of them is price stability, and the other one is full employment. If people are not getting into jobs because the government is supporting them too much, then that kind of counterbalances what's actually happening. So the Federal Reserve can back up on how much money they lend to the US government. So the US government cannot just keep people on the government benefits. They had to get people working. So I know that at the start of September 2021, a lot of people came off the extra unemployment payment, which is $300 US a week or something. So a lot of people have now lost that. So things should be changing in some ways. And I'm just wondering if that change has happened enough that you can now take some profits depending on when you came into this market. Now let's find out what has changed. So moving to the first card, we can see a revised edition Badlands. Now I will be showing my buy list, especially the individual cards that I bought and the prices at that time, and then comparing them to now. Most of them have doubled, some of them have gone a bit more, and just seeing if now is a good time to unload on that. And I will say one of the most important things when you unload any of these kinds of cards is you got to know what you're going to do with the money in the future, because this is not a small amount of money, depending on what you guys also own. You might even be far more than mine, especially since you're far more knowledgeable. So looking into Badlands, you can see that that's quite stable. You can see that right now you can buy a copy on TCG Player for $370. This one is noting $487 and average of $499. So that's already a bit of a drop from what's actually there. You can see a moderately played version of this for $366.49. Now, I normally am okay with moderately played because moderately played gives me a good in-between of near mint, lightly played, and heavily played. I don't normally go for heavily played because I can't trust where that falls off a cliff. But moderately played is just a bit more beaten up than a lightly played. So I'm okay with that. Obviously, lightly played is pretty good to get your hands on. A near mint is perfect. You can get a near mint Badlands for $508. Now that actually doesn't sound too bad when you look at some of these other ridiculous prices for near mint. I mean, and also you got to remember there is some. Can you complain to these people? Like this is meant to be a legit card shop, right? Like how can they sell it for $10,000? Even if it's just to manipulate the prices so that they can try to break even, that just seems stupid at that point. Tiger for $620, not bad. Revised edition Tiger, $229, not bad. We'll get to that. So you can see the prices for this is moderately played $436, $366 for this one. You might be able to ask them for a picture and stuff. This is a TCG Player. I trust them enough to know that they can probably give a decent quality of this card, enough for you to be able to sell it back for a similar price. Now you got Plateau, same thing. Yeah, it's saying 346, but it's got TCG Player at 278. You can get a moderately played for $258.10. Once again, that feels pretty good. Now, I'm obviously not coming in from where I'm going to buy. I'm coming in from when I'm going to sell. But if the price is really good and things are dropping, you don't want to always buy all out or sell all out. You want to kind of like slowly unload or reload so you don't lose everything. Sorry guys if you can hear that, the rain just started in. So then you have Tiger, which is the one I really want to keep my eyes on, and it's right now moderately played for $295. Seems pretty good. So looking at what I bought and when I bought it, let's find out if I made some money. So Volcanic Islands, I got a moderately played Volcanic Island for $372.91. So Volcanic Island I can get. So a moderately played Volcanic Island, I got it for $378, did I say? So a moderately played one is $877.50. So you can get one for $745, so that's almost double. So I could unload possibly a Volcanic Island for around about maybe $700, and people would be happy with that for now. You can see that there are some very decent listings already, but this is still double what you could buy in the middle of last year. So moving on to another card, and this is mostly for me to think about it as well, but what do you guys think about when to sell or when to buy these? I know the spike was probably missed, but this still seems pretty good. You got an Underground Sea for $412. What was Underground Sea going for moderately played? $976. Is that the lowest? You got a damaged moderately played $804. So once again, is that double? That feels about double. Yeah, about double. So I could probably sell an Underground Sea for $780, and that wouldn't be too bad. You'd make double, remembering that this is US as well. So moving on to Bayou. Do I have a Bayou on this list? Bayou, $297 for moderately played, and you can get a Bayou for lightly played. Now I will see if I can get a moderately played, $459. So that's a bit less than half, but $440 or something. You could probably get some decent buy from that. Tundra, $236. Do I have a Tundra on this list? Sure, I have. Damn it! I thought no. Sorry, guys. I thought I had a Tundra ready to go. But, there it is. Got it. Tundra, $441. Going back to what I paid for it. Tundra, $236. So, once again, $236. You're going to be happy with maybe $420 for the sale. Oh, sorry, that's a heavily played. Ooh. Moderately played. Nope. That, if lightly played is, I would assume that moderately played should fit around here. But that's a pretty cheap lightly played. So I'd say probably $450 is probably what the moderately played is. This is a heavily costed, heavily priced, heavily played Tundra for $449. But I'd be okay with $450 or something for a Tundra. So it's important to see that depending on when you got, you could have doubled your input for some of these cards. So I know that in here I even have a near mint tropical island. So near mint tropical island is, lightly played is $669, and a near mint one is $787. So $768. So it's not a bad timing depending on when you jumped in. Some of you guys might have bought these even earlier. But what I'm thinking is the market had a huge run up in the last year and a half. If you are using these cards, that is fine. I have these cards in some decks, but I don't need them to run the decks, obviously. They are nice to have. They look cool, and it's nice to say I have them. But this is still a decent amount of money that's now locked up in these cards. So when is a good time to unload them? And that is the question I have for you, because in my head, it almost feels like right now is not a bad time to slowly start unloading them, maybe once a month. You could have even started maybe 2 or 3 months ago, because there was some frenzy back then as well. And certainly once a month is not a bad way to do it, just in case something does change. And instead of anything else, a new stimulus that's massive and gets announced, or something happens where inflation's totally under control and everything is going the right way. But it's just right now, everything is going the wrong way and prices going up. But when everything goes the right way, prices should come down because there's less support from the government. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. This was a bit of a rambling video. I just wanted to see what you guys think about what the price of reserve list is going to do, and if you think it's a good time to sell out or buy some more. Thanks again, and see you later.